Wine to Five is partially funded by Albarello Luxury Hand Soap, an unscented must-have accessory for anyone who loves wine, cooking, and food. For more information, visit albarellosoap.com.
It's not 5 o'clock, and they don't care. Welcome to Wine to Five. Entertainment, education, and everyday drinking for everyday people. Your hosts are Valerie Caruso and Stephanie Davis, two wine educators who don't need a clock to know when to pour that next glass.
Welcome back to another episode of Wine to Five. I also love that I got a text from Steph about an hour before we were scheduled to record, pretty much saying, I'm running to the liquor store. But gosh darn it, I love getting texts like that in the middle of the afternoon. And then a little while later, I'm driving. So Steph is back home from her booze run, and she and her friend Emily Kemi are double trouble up there in Fort Collins. I'm almost certain of this. Ladies, what's going on up there?
Yes, yeah, we are double trouble.
There's no question.
And there are multiple drinks in front of us. Not two for two people, multiple ones. Okay.
Oh, my.
But
that's because we're tasting.
No, we're tasting. That's right. That's right. This is a tasting. So today I have sitting next to me Emily Kemi. She is an award-winning author and the food and lifestyle contributor for the Greeley Tribune. Emily writes feature articles and restaurant reviews for the Taste, Dining, and Drinks section of the online version of the Greeley Tribune. And she's also a novelist, and we have some exciting news about a new book she's working on, and that'll stay tuned for that. And you can also find more about her other novels on her website. And so you can find her online at feedingthefamished.com, where she blogs about the quirks of human nature and the foods that comfort us. And Emily and I connected. I had to go back and actually look on Facebook and try and figure out. Yeah, we met drinking, go figure. And it was about 4 years ago, over cocktails, at a 40th birthday party at a country club. And she is a real inspiration to me. And I was just even telling the liquor store guys about her.
Thanks.
And I was saying, we're two birds of a feather in a lot of ways. And so I'm grateful to have you on the show today and to introduce you to Val and to all of our listeners.
Thank you. Stephanie, I've loved partnering with you for the past 4 years because it's been a great work. As we work together, you provide wines and alcohol suggestions for my recipes on the blog, Feeding the Famished, which my readers really love, and it adds just another dimension to the recipes and creations.
Yeah, I have fun doing that too. So cheers to all of that.
Yeah, cheers.
And I think
cheers
that means we have to talk. Yeah, cheers, Val.
Cheers.
We have to know what you're drinking over there.
Oh my gosh, I cannot keep my lips off this glass. I have the 2005 Turley Hain Vineyard Napa Valley Petite Syrah. The wine is 11 years old, and you would never know it. So I did a little research and found that the Hain Vineyard dates back to the early 1950s. And I pulled out this bottle last night because I thought, this is an old one. We should probably drink it because, I found a couple wines that have not lasted in the cellar recently. So I started grabbing some old stuff. And, 2005... depending on where you are in the world, isn't really old, but in some places it is. So I thought we should drink it, and we were so surprised at how much dark fruit is still present and how gracefully the tertiary notes were kind of sliding into the palate of this wine as it ages. And for those of you who don't remember, tertiary notes are those flavors like the tobacco and the chocolate and those things that happen as the wine ages in bottle. So those come from
you busted out like a nice... good bottle, dude.
Yeah.
I'm wow, for a Tuesday night?
Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to get the older stuff out of the cellar because I'm really tired of opening bottles that aren't good.
Yeah.
And it's a lot.
Also because you guys we're heading into the holiday season. and it's good to start celebrating the year.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. I think, yeah. And, there is nothing worse than saving a bottle and then opening it and being like, oh my gosh, I waited too long. That's alcohol abuse.
Right. And it's happened several times with you. I'm like, oh my God, I love this wine. And I've had it for like 4 years. And we're like, oh gosh, should have drank that. And as we saw, with the elections last week, life is short and anything can happen. So, I just started drinking the good wine, man. So
that's right.
I love what they said about this wine on the Turley website, though. They said it's powerful and inky in its youth. The wine becomes more feminine and refined with age and will outlive us all.
It's
I need to drink some of that.
I know.
Oh my God. That sounds like the life of a woman.
Or the fountain of youth.
Or the fountain of youth. Ooh, I like that too.
So you can imagine, and I forgot this was a $65 bottle. I don't remember. We were at Turley back, 3 years ago. So I don't remember what we paid for it. We just bought wine and sent the case home. So I'm glad we're opening. I'm glad we opened it anyway. John will not be happy that I practically finished the bottle waiting for Steph to get back from the liquor store. So what is in your glass that you had to go out for at the last minute? I want to know.
Okay. I went to the liquor store, not really because Emily was coming over, although I wanted to make sure that I could make her a really good Manhattan if she wanted one. So I did have to get a few things for that. But I went because I wanted to get some new cider. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have some ciders at the house and around this time is because I've heard that that's very likely what the Pilgrims were drinking at Thanksgiving. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And I love cider. And because it's become so popular, there's so many more to choose from now. It's like ridiculous. One of the ciders I brought home, it is not what's in my glass, but one of the ones is like a coffee cider. And the guys at the liquor store, the beer guy especially, said it was really like wickedly cool. And he's like, even though it just sounds like it wouldn't taste good together, he's like, it's really good. So I was like, well, I need I need a 4-pack of that. And I came home with a bunch of bombers. But one of the 6-packs I bought was this Climb Hard Cider Company out of Loveland, Colorado. Mm-hmm. And it's the peach one.
Okay.
And one of my wine buddies over at Supermarket Liquors, Zach, he said it tastes like mimosas. And so I was like, well, I'm down with that. So yeah, it's kind of a cross between a Bellini and a mimosa on the dry side. I really like it. And you know what else is really cool about it? It even says like the nutrition facts on it. So it tells you how many grams of sugars are in it. Like, that's really cool.
I was going to ask you, because we have Diane Flint from Foggy Ridge Cider coming on next month, and she's going to talk all about sparkling cider for the holidays and everything. Did you happen to see the Foggy Ridge cider, or do you know?
I didn't.
That,
but
I would
you
like
know
to
what?
have some for the show.
Yeah, I was only looking in the refrigerated section.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make sure it was cold for me to drink on the show today. Mm-hmm. And they have a giant selection on the shelf. So maybe it was over there. I'll definitely pick some up if I find it. Okay. So, yeah. And so, Emily, what have you got? Besides, Emily does also have some of this yummy cider.
Because we're going double-fisted. But no, stuff is so good to me. I walked in the door. I've had meetings for days. And she said, oh, my gosh, you need something. And I said, well, we've been talking about aquavit. And do you have any? And she said, oh, yes. So I'm going to whip you up a smoked whale testicle. And I'm like, oh, God, do I look that bad? And it's terrible. But it's amazing. It's basically a take on a Negroni, is what I understand. And it's got the smoked whale testicle element of it, I think, is the aquavit, right? No?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, and it does have kind of an element of burnt caramelization to it, I think.
Yeah.
The Linny aquavit.
Yeah.
And then it's got a bunch of herbal notes that Stephanie will explain to you. But I like it. I'm feeling so much better already.
I love it. A cure for what ails you. Smoked whale testicles.
That's right. It's medicinal,
and I'm hearing
too,
the record scratch in my head, so I'm going to have to add it into the podcast. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I've had this on the show, I think, at least once before, but it has the Linny Aquavit, the Chinar, and the beer, Byrrh from France. So, and I didn't have any celery for garnish, so we threw in a lime wheel, and Emily gave it the thumbs up. So,
and to make it sound really uncultured, sorry, it tastes like root beer. It's just, it's really refreshing, subtle. You can taste the herbal notes laying in there. I don't have the descriptions that you guys do, but I'm enjoying it.
That's all that matters.
That's right. That's right.
Oh my
Drink
gosh.
on.
Well, speaking of drinking, I mean, we have Emily here. By the time this airs, it's going to be Thanksgiving. And I know it's a little bit late to talk about, hey, what I'm pouring unless your liquor store is open on Thanksgiving and you hear our show at 10 o'clock in the morning Mountain and decide to run to the liquor store. But, just for entertaining for the holidays in general, I think we're going to talk about a few things here that have to do with wine and food. And I know we addressed a lot of these things in episode 17 when we talked about cooking with food. But that was so long ago, so I think it's time to bring Emily, our expert, our food editor, in and get started. So, Emily, what do you want to talk about today when it comes to holiday entertaining?
Well, the very first thing I want to talk about is when you're setting the table for Thanksgiving or you're having guests over, do you have to have everything looking absolutely perfect? Does it really matter what kind of glass I drink wine in? Can I just grab a juice glass and go?
Yeah, I think it's about what you have. If you're not cracking open an expensive bottle of wine, I definitely wouldn't worry about the glassware too much. I'm a stickler for stemware, I have to say, and I do like to have matching stems or at least nice stems on the table for wine, but that's just not a luxury that everybody has. I mean, if you need a drink to get through a family dinner, which most of us do, I don't care what it's in.
More than one
drink. Drink it out. I'll pull from the bottle. I don't care. So I do like to have a water glass, a white wine glass, a red wine glass. I like to have those things. It also depends on your family, your friends, where you are, what you're serving. I mean, it's so subjective.
So if you're serving something that is a higher end wine, is it going to change the flavor profile and the nose if you're serving it out of a juice glass?
Yeah. There's a really great exercise that you can do with Riedel every so often. They have it at like wine festivals and stuff. But, you can do your own version of it at home. And basically what they'll do is they'll take a Riedel crystal stemware, and you can use any brand of high quality, crystal stemware. But you taste the same wine from the crystal stem, then you taste it out of like a typical banquet wine glass, kind of the inexpensive, not crystal wine glass, and then you taste it out of a plastic cup. And
solo or styrofoam?
Like a solo kind of, like a solo plastic cup. Really, experience the wine differently in each glass. And that's what the exercise is supposed to do. It's supposed to open your eyes to this whole like, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing the aromatics of the wine, which is so much of the taste of wine that you in the right glassware. And what was, I think, the most remarkable is that the wine, when I did this, the wine tasted better in the plastic cup than it did in the banquet glass. And so if you don't have beautiful stemware, it's surprising that, you could have an average glass taste just as good as a clunky banquet wine glass.
I think it depends on the wine too, because, I've got this Bordeaux glass here, and if I was having a Pinot, I do like the balloon glass because you got to get your nose closer to the wine to really get those aromatics, or these aromatics kind of jump out of the glass, and it kind of behooves them to have a taller glass. But it's also, if you look at the rim, a lot of people are like, why do wine glasses matter? This beveled edge on a nice glass, and this isn't an overly expensive glass. This is the Wine Enthusiast Fusion stemware, which we love. Okay, they're not expensive. Right. I'm fine with them. But yet it delivers the wine onto your palate a little differently. And because you're getting those aromatics, which is part of the wine experience, if you're serving a really good wine, it would behoove you to run over to like Home Goods or something, or go to Wine Enthusiast and just get a set of nicer glasses that have this beveled edge on them. And I think it just shows as a hostess or host, that you're really thinking about the whole experience for your guest.
And
right.
You can even get the Rydell stemware at Target, can't you?
Yeah. The Riedel stemware is at Bed Bath & Beyond and all sorts of places. It's easy to find for the most part. So, but any of those, Riedel makes a lot of the other brands. So you just don't know it. So there's a lot of choices at a lot of different price points. I mean, if I was to totally geek out and go luxury all the way, I would get Zalto glasses.
I knew it.
But
I've heard about those stuff.
Yes, they are quite something.
I'm scared to death of them.
Yeah, they're so delicate that it looks like, if you look at it wrong, it might break.
Expensive.
But
yeah.
Well, and that's why I don't have any really expensive stemware, because you wash it and it breaks.
That's what I would tell people. The thing about, and again, this is a plug for Wine Enthusiasts, but these Fusion stemware, they're very break resistant, and you can get like 8 of them for the price of 6. Very reasonable price. And then there's like a 10-year warranty on the breakage. So if you break one, they replace them for free. So what we do is wait till we've broken about 3, which does take a while, and we save it up because then you pay for the shipping. It's like $8 of shipping. So $8 for 3 wine glasses to be shipped to you after we've broken 3 of them, it's not a big deal. And they don't break easily. Like I said with Susan Kostrava, I said, I've seen these things bounce. And I don't recommend it, but, things happen. And it does take a bit to break them because, I'm very droppy. So Costco also had some nice Luigi Bormioli. They also have like a 25-year break resistant. And those glasses, I think they were like $16 or something, $12 for like 16 of them. Or I don't remember, or 8 of them.
Oh my gosh.
$12 or $16 for like 8 of them. And they're the big Luigi Bormioli crystal. I can't, you do not have to spend a lot of money on glassware if you're worried about serving a nice wine at the table.
Yeah, and I think that, too, a lot of it goes back to, are you serving that $65 Turley like Val's drinking today? Or, are you having some nice, $12 to $15 wines? If you have the glassware, great, but if you don't have the money to spend on expensive bottles of wine, don't go overboard on expensive glassware.
Agree.
I mean, I think that, do what feels right and drink what you like, and all that stuff. And sometimes it's just a matter of people don't have the space in their cabinets, or like I have a couple of Riedel cases of glasses that are in my basement, washed and ready to go for at any point in time that I need 16 glasses, that I can take them with me to someone's house or an event, or I can bust them out when I have a really large party, because there's no way they're going to fit in my cabinet in my kitchen, and a lot of people just don't have the space. So, that's another issue, I think, too. But one thing just on the matter of glassware is Emily and I just poured the cider right before the show started in the Govino beer glasses.
Yeah.
Look, she's got the Govino Wine 25
custom glasses. Yes, I have one right here. So these are great.
Nice.
If you don't want to break them, cheap.
Yeah, I know. Emily was like, this is awesome.
They've got this nice little indentation for your thumbs so you don't slip.
Yeah.
And they're great for picnics. I love picnics.
Road trips.
Picnics.
These go on all of our road trips.
And they're dishwasher safe.
Yeah.
I love these. So, and you know what? You could even set your Thanksgiving table with these.
They are elegant. They look great.
Yeah, because there was one Thanksgiving that Justin and I flew out to Phoenix, and because we have family all spread out everywhere and nobody has quite a big enough house to accommodate both sides of the family, we decided to have a Thanksgiving picnic at a public park, and we reserved one of those, like, what are they called? Gazebo type things.
Pavilion.
A pavilion. That is more, okay. Yes, exactly. Pavilion. And I ordered a bunch of gourmet food from AJ's Fine Foods. It was like, I'm not cooking. I'm flying in and I can participate. I can do this, And so we picked up the stuff. We went to the park, and if we had Govino, that would have been so perfect, because that was probably like 7 or 8 years ago. And I'm telling you, I think, not everybody does the traditional Thanksgiving with stemware. So there's different options out there for everybody. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of traditional Thanksgivings, we're kind of heading into the time of year where everybody cooks more. And for some of us, the kitchen is kind of strange territory, and it can be frightening. And then if you're going to talk about, do I have to cook with wine? What kind of wine do I cook with? So we're talking roasting turkeys, hams, roast beefs, sauces, gravies. Do you have to decide in advance what kind of wine you're going to cook with? And or is it like meat and wine pairing requirements, that certain wines have to go with certain foods? But it seems to me that a lot of those rigid standards have relaxed.
I believe so. I believe they've relaxed.
Do you consider certain elements in a recipe when you're pulling out what to cook with?
I think if the wine is the star of the recipe, if it's like a port wine sauce, I'm going to consider the quality. I'm not going to use a very expensive bottle of vintage port. I might use 6 grape or something like that, a nice ruby. As a rule, if you want to use a rule, you can use it as a tool. I like to cook with a newer version and less expensive version of the wine I'm going to serve with the meal. So I posted a recipe for a wild boar with tagliatelle, wild boar sauce, and I have them cooking.
So like
it's
a
like
ragu.
And I just called for a nice quality bottle of Rosso di Montalcino, but then serve it with a Brunello di Montalcino. Then you're serving it with the more expensive wine. But I would not, as Alex Guarnaschelli mentioned that, and we talked about it in our podcast in episode 17, I would not pour a $65 bottle into a sauce. That's not how I roll, but it should be a good quality of wine. It's got to be a kind of wine you want to drink because the flavors will concentrate. So if you pull a cork on a bottle and you go, oh man, this is bad, well, I'll just cook with it, well, chances are it's not going to do your dish justice. So I would say in that respect, quality is a little bit important, but as long as the wine's not bad, it doesn't have to be an expensive wine. But as far as matching, if the wine's not the highlight of the dish, if it's not like a port wine sauce or a whatever it is, then I would just say, whatever you got open. If you need a little wine to deglaze the pan or whatever, go to town. What do you think,
right.
Steph?
But well, let's say that you've got, like you said, a boar ragu with porcini mushrooms or something that's really meaty and flavorful, and you're going to have a higher end wine to drink with it. When you go to the liquor store to pair it, you don't want to spend that much because a ragu is going to take a number of cups of wine, at least. I would say
at least
4
a bottle,
cups
yes.
of wine. At least. So you go to the liquor store, what are you going to tell them you're doing? And you want to match flavor profiles?
I don't worry so much about the flavor profiles because, wine is going to have fruit, it's going to have herb, it's going to have, wine has those things just in different components. But I would say I want a decent quality wine, about a $10 to $15 bottle, if even. Maybe I want something Italian just to kind of go with the theme of it, but it doesn't have to be.
No, I mean, if you have some, $10 Merlot at home, I would go to town with that for sure. A lot of times I just cook with whatever I've got, and as long as it's not expensive, that's what I'm using because probably I don't do enough planning ahead of time. So then it's just whatever I've got. But, if it's dry, and it says red wine in the recipe, I just find a dry red wine and I go for it, and then that's how, and if it says white wine in the recipe, I still go, what do I have that's dry and inexpensive? There have been times where I've experimented with other things, maybe like using a Fino sherry or something. I know that it might change the flavor a little bit, but I think that's my own little adrenaline rush, wondering if things will work out and then giving a good hurrah when it does work out.
Well, so would you ever consider cooking with a sweet wine? Like, for example, I've been toying with the idea of cooking with a Moscato. Mm-hmm. And I found a couple of recipes with seafood, like a poached lobster tail type things, and I thought that might be something celebratory as we head into December. Is that a possibility?
I think if you like the idea of, you got to figure something like that has a lot of residual sugar in it. So chances are that sauce is going to have some sugar in it. And so I'm still reeling from a time I tried to make an Alfredo sauce with a soy milk product because but my friend was allergic, couldn't have milk, couldn't have lactose, anything. And then I accidentally grabbed the vanilla. And I just remember the sweetness of that sauce, and it was absolutely foul. So I'm still kind of, and that was 13, 14, 15 years ago. Yeah.
So 13, 14 years ago. So I have a dairy allergy. And it's really sad because I don't get to have lattes in the morning anymore, and I really miss ice cream. But coconut milk is a great, unsweetened coconut milk is a wonderful substitute. I use it in mashed potatoes, and I substitute it in sauces. I
have it in my fridge right now.
Yeah, you get a great mouthfeel with coconut milk, and it's lower calories. So coconut milk is better for you. I'm a happier person.
Well, that's good. Anything that makes anybody happier.
And so that wasn't an option, I don't think, back then. We're talking 2001. But I think it depends on the dish. If you want that sweetness in the dish or not. I don't know, Steph. What do you think about?
Well, I'm curious about it. I think as long as the Moscato is not too sweet, the sweetness of lobster or scallops or something might be able to handle the sauce. It just depends what else is in it. I think it really just depends how it all comes together.
And that's something I'm playing with, but it's a recipe that'll be coming up on Feeding the Famished.
Fun.
In December. So you're going to have to help me figure out the Moscato to go with that.
I might have to come over and taste it after you make it.
Good.
I think there's a lot of different things you can play with, but if you
add some, I'm thinking ginger and lemongrass to add some other flavors that will balance that sweetness.
Right.
Or even some heat, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, some spice or something. That's a good idea.
Turn it into Thai lobster with Moscato.
Yeah. Any dish where you've got honey as a component, you could probably go there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And some roasting.
Yep, because you get the caramelization of the sugars.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
So let's go back to Thanksgiving. Okay. You've got people around the table that are non-drinkers. Are they going to have are they going to benefit from the flavor profiles at dinner the same way that the wine drinkers are? Or do you just not worry about that and everybody needs to get along around the table?
Well, I don't think no matter how hard you try, everybody will get along around the table. That is not going to happen.
Hence the need for alcohol.
I think anytime you cook with wine, everybody's going to enjoy the dish. I mean, if it's a great recipe and you're a decent cook, I think, everybody, drinkers and non-drinkers, will enjoy the flavors added from any kind of alcohol in the dish. I don't think that they're necessarily missing out. I mean, I think I personally feel like they miss out because I'm obsessed with wine, so I feel like they miss out. But I think really, if you might be over concerned because your place setting is so beautiful with all the glassware and everything matchy or whatever, I think it's nice to have a sparkling water option to pour into the wine glass for the non-drinkers. My dad is a non-drinker. He loves to participate with O'Doul's or a non-alcoholic beverage. He loves to have tonic with lime when everybody else is having a cocktail. I think that everybody will enjoy the food. And the people who love wine and understand the great length that maybe you went to on making a pairing or having something special will appreciate that. But you have to keep in mind that there's usually somebody at the table who drinks wine but doesn't really appreciate the great length you maybe went to select the wine or to even prepare your dish. So there's the foodies and then there's the not foodies.
And then there are the other foodies who might prefer to have a craft beer.
Right.
Or they might just want to have a Michelob. And don't frown on that either because those tastes blend well, I would think. Don't turkey and beer go together, don't they?
I think turkey and beer is great.
Bubbles, baby. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Yeah, Bud Light. I mean, there's a lot of people who love that combo. Bud Light
and going back to the bubbles, it's also, I always try to make the non-drinkers feel a little special with like a little sparkling water, not sparkling water, sparkling cider, the Martinelli's. Yeah, you'll see there's a bottle sitting in my garage from a social I had a while back because I knew there was a woman, it was a ladies group that didn't drink. And I thought, well, I want her to celebrate as well because we're popping corks. So, keep the Martinelli ciders on hand. And you can even have a sparkling water bar. They've got these, like I had a sparkling, it was dry cucumber water or something. You can get flavored waters that are sparkling. So everybody can feel if there's going to be a toast. They've got something sparkly in their glass, and they don't have to be hitting the booze like everybody else. I mean, so it's good to make everybody feel special that you're inviting.
Special, comfortable, and happy, because that's what the holidays are about, right?
That's right.
So let's say we've got Thanksgiving figured out, and then we start into the craziness of the holiday season, and I'm going to an office party for the holidays, and I'm supposed to bring a white elephant gift. Can I bring liquor, or is that totally inappropriate?
Depends on your office. Depends on where you work, because I've seen where if you're doing that white elephant where you can take somebody's gift,
the stealing game,
the booze is getting stolen every time until a gift can get stolen like 3 times. And I was just and it was just something like Bailey's, and then there was like another inexpensive wine, and it was a room full of 50 women, and I'm going to tell you what. That booze was the first thing that got stolen every single time. And there were women there who didn't drink, but ornaments work too. I think it depends on the crowd. Is that something that your boss would be okay with? Is everybody over 21 that's participating? That's something to think about.
Yeah.
Very good point. Yes.
Yeah, I think it really depends on if there's a theme. I know it seems like the white elephant is the theme, but I've been to, holiday parties where it might be naughty and nice or some kind of silly party at the holidays.
I want to go.
She goes to the best parties, Emily. I'm telling you.
I know
the best parties.
I know.
But it is really kind of funny, though, because, in that way, you can find some silly wine labels or, that have a theme that goes with it. And,
okay, so what would be naughty and what would be nice?
There's some different naughty ones. Like I think the one that I brought a couple of years ago was there was a series of wines that I got as a gift from my friend Missy, and they were all rock and roll theme, and so one of them had Kiss like album cover, where it's like the lips and the tongue. And so that I put together like a whole naughty and nice kind of thing that was all themed around that bottle's label. And so I think there's fun things that you can do gift giving wise, even for these white elephant things. I mean, you could get rid of some bottle that you have never opened for a reason as the tacky white elephant gift, but
they'll never invite you to another party again if you do that.
I don't know. I think it's funny because we have been to so many white elephant gift parties where we get the worst gift that nobody wants to steal, and I come home going, I got a snowball maker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did this happen to me? And it's not that, and I plan to go back the next year.
With the snowball
You
maker.
go back with the crappy gift
That's
you
funny.
got, and so I think that's what you do. So
Absolutely.
you can give a bottle away of something that you clearly never intended to open and see where it goes with the party. People laugh, it's just
kind
about
of a conversation starter anyway.
It is like, how did you wind up with that bottle in the first place?
Well, that was like 5 white elephant parties ago.
Yeah. I think so. I think you can totally do it. And if you bring something nice, like a bottle of champagne or something, which we've been to white elephant parties where there's like a bottle of Veuve Clicquot going around,
Steal.
Yeah, it's stolen, so you can be that person who's like, I'm going to make sure they're invited next year.
But usually there's a dollar limit on those too, aren't there? Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, so if you have a $50 limit, you could do a bottle of
you
Veuve.
could.
Yeah, most
most of them are much less than that. So
Well, most people follow the dollar limit, but there are people who don't really care and they just bring whatever, or they have no idea what the dollar limit is because somebody else brought it to the
Can you find a decent bottle of champagne for $25?
No, not
very
champagne.
hard. You could go. I know I've seen some under 29, around the $29 mark, but it's very. I wouldn't do champagne at that price point unless you can stumble on a deal. But you can get maybe a nice bottle of cava, which is just sparkling.
Or maybe a
Prosecco.
And that's cava, it's from Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Or a nice Cremant. Yeah. Something like that you can get for under 25 for sure. And it's still just as festive and people go, ooh. You know?
Because it's unique and different.
Yeah. That's right.
Right. Getting away from white elephants, when you go to a party or what a wine person who has everything.
Wine person's everything.
What would be unique and fun?
Well,
or memorable, I guess.
Right. The way I approach it is probably because I have a lot of wine friends who have all of the wine things that they could ever want. I usually drift towards spirits for them, or I find a food item in the way that has a nice packaging. So a lot of times people who are into wine are also into food. And so I like to use either, olive oils. That's what Val's showing right now. I mean, something that's like an artisanal product or a local product or something you just brought back from a trip. The best thing you can ever do is really share something that has a story behind it. Why you found that, how you found that product, why you are giving it to them. It's more about the story and less about necessarily what it really is, I think, because it's kind of like, oh, the thought that counts, but it's true. I mean, it really is true.
And in a way, you're sharing a little bit of yourself by doing that.
Exactly. So I think that's one way to go. Food items and then geeky spirits or, and then it just boils down to, well, what do you know about that person? I mean, are they into, besides wine, are they into something else? And can you play off a gift that's not wine related?
Well, and sometimes I'm kind of following on this trend that you're bringing out, that it's good when you give a gift to someone who has everything, you're acknowledging that you understand them and you understand what they have a wide variety of interests. So you're acknowledging that, and it's not only flattering, but it takes a friendship to a higher level.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I've toyed with this idea for Justin and some of his clients, but it's like, why don't we put together gift baskets or something that's like our favorite things that we want to share with you, because it's a way to kind of bring us together. Like, here's some of the stuff that we've hand selected because we use this in our daily life, or this is what we use at special times of the year. This is something we learned about 5 years ago that we can't live without. And so you're trying to show them, like, here's something that has a lot of meaning for us. We want you to have it too. That kind of a gift basket, instead of being like Colorado theme or, wine theme or whatever. It's just like, what if you just said, it's kind of like Oprah's favorite things. That's more the theme is what it is. These are our favorite things.
Or it's kind of like, let me open up my head and heart and tell you who I am because I want to share a piece of myself with you.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. I think that's what you do for the wine lovers, So it's
just like little things for people to enjoy, or things that you enjoy that you're like, oh my God. And you buy 2 of everything because you know somebody who would love it as well.
That's right.
That, to me, is what brings the warm and fuzzy into the holidays. And I don't want to sound maudlin, but it's just like, if you share yourself and not make it this pre-packaged present that anybody can pick up. If you put yourself into the basket, it's going to have a lot more meaning to anybody who receives it.
I like that. Put yourself into the basket.
That's cute. Okay, I think we're ready. Should we move on to the factoid?
We probably should, because we're at 41 minutes now of show.
Okay. All right, here's my fun factoid. I don't know if you knew this already, Val, but here it goes. Which chateau in the Grave region of Bordeaux used to sell its wine as mineral water to the Ottoman palace in Turkey. Huh? I think this is cool.
You know, I did not know.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And I've been to Turkey and it's one of my all-time favorite places. So anyhow, you may have seen this chateau at the liquor store or a wine shop. It is very old and historic. It is Chateau Carbonieux. And it dates back to the 13th century. It was later in the 18th century that the Benedictine monks introduced the pale white wines of Carbonieux to the Ottoman Sultan and referred to them as the mineral water of Carbonieux. The legend also says that the prince asked, quote, "Why do the French make wine when they have such delicious mineral water?" Unquote. I think that's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, that is adorable. I had no idea. Like I said, I just finished a bottle of that.
It's all in the marketing, isn't it?
It is all in the marketing. It's like now people want to go out and try it. I mean, and that's so funny that you were just drinking it probably while I was coming up with this idea.
Absolutely. It was one of those ones that ended up in my tasting back in June, and I had it open and finally said, hey, let's open it.
Yeah, what did you think of it?
I mean, I used to be a lot more into Sauvignon Blanc, but I have not been into the white Bordeaux scene as much as I've been into the white Burgundy scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's on your wino radar, Val?
Well, the wino radar came as I sat down to do the show notes, and our newest Patreon supporter, Andrew, who we'll talk about in a minute, he just hooked us up with a link about whiskey, because I guess he listened to our last episode. We were talking about whiskey, and our last episode, because while we're recording this, the next episode hasn't been released yet. So long story short, we talk about whiskey a lot on this show. And it was called the 50 Best Whiskeys in the World. Now, you guys know I'm not a list person. I don't like, the top 10 or the best. I don't like the word the best wines or whatever. But this was compiled by some consulting bartenders, some writers, some restaurateurs, and it's a list of what they thought were their picks for the 50 best whiskeys in the world. So there must have been some consensus. So when you scroll down through this thing, I mean, it's downright whiskey porn. This article. So, I mean, you can scroll down and look at these whiskeys from all over the world, everything from Scotch to bourbon to Japanese whiskeys. And, I'm sitting there going, oh, yeah, drank that. Oh, yeah, want that. And you're like, and then some cuss words, and then yes, please. And then, yeah, oh, yeah. And then, so we'll link this up in the blog. I think it's really cool. I've been reading a lot about whiskey lately. And I realize that we're probably a little behind on the blog, so you can just go visit our Facebook page if you really want to have it. But just really into the whiskeys. I mean, even whiskey and Thanksgiving pairings in the latest tasting panel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like Maker's 46, which is on this list with pecan pie.
Well, yeah, of course.
Hello.
That sounds good.
Yeah, if you're listening to this on Thanksgiving and you got a pecan pie and you got a little bourbon in the house, there you go. So, whiskey with Thanksgiving. So, that's kind of
happiness
cool.
is a glass of bourbon.
I'm telling
you.
Pie.
Yes. Emily is a whiskey fan as well.
I love it. I wish we all lived closer, man.
I know, because Emily's like, well, where's Val? I'm like, she's in Colorado Springs. It's like, we have to.
So what's
Skype.
on your Rhino radar? What are you guys looking at?
I am turned on to the Savino, and I have not used it yet, but 2 weeks ago, Brian Hartz was telling me about Savino while we were waiting for a table at Bacon Social House in Denver. And I'm just going to, as a little offshoot here, Bacon, you just say Bacon for short, is a great breakfast joint. And they have flights of bacon.
Wait a minute. Is that the same one? We ate at one in Boise.
Did you?
Same thing. Flights of bacon.
Yes. Maybe it's the same one. How was your bacon experience?
Amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
yes.
I Instagrammed the bacon flight. You might have to go back and see if it's the same. I want to say it's almost probably the same thing.
It could be. I'll have to go check it out. It was really good. I mean, everybody enjoyed it. Everybody had a great time. But so Brian's sitting there telling me, while we're waiting outside, waiting for our table, that he likes to use a Savino to preserve his wine because he really drinks wine at his house, for dinner. And Francis doesn't really partake in it. So he's like, I might have one glass and then I have the whole rest of the bottle. So he had bought the Savino and he thought it worked really well. So he told me to check it out. And I looked it up, and of course it's available on our Wine25 store. It's also available on Wine Enthusiast, and we're going to have some links that you can check it out. There's like a video and stuff explaining it. So basically, it's like this glass carafe, and it runs around $50. It's like $45 to $50. You pour yourself a glass of your wine, and then whatever's left over, you pour the entire contents into the carafe, the Savino. And then there's a little floaty thing that I think they just call it the float, and you put that piece and it just sits there on top of your wine.
And we have one of those.
Oh, you have it.
And I've always wondered, why do you have to have the floaty thing?
Yeah.
What does that do?
Right, because then it comes into contact with the surface area of the wine, right?
So does it keep the air from getting...
Yeah, so the air isn't touching the wine, and then there's just a lid that secures, the kind of the liquid, so on top, and just so that if it spills...
Well, it's not a rubber stopper.
Yeah, it's a rubber stopper, like around the lip, right?
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, so that's just for spillage, but it's the float that helps actually preserve the wine. And what made me think of, what you do when guacamole or, you've got an avocado and then it'll oxidize and turn brown when it has too much air contact. But if you put your saran wrap down into the flesh or into the guacamole surface, then it doesn't brown, So that's kind of how that works.
It's kind of like humans need air, but guacamole doesn't.
That's right. That's right. So anyhow, I haven't bought one yet. Savino, if you want to send me one for Christmas, that would be awesome. I'll check it out for you.
I know what to get you.
I know. I love that. So anyway, that's on my radar now.
Yeah, I did see it come out a couple years ago, and I know they've gone through some testing of the product, so I'm assuming it's come a long way since then. It kind of slid off my radar for a while, but yeah, it is available in our store. If you want to try it, let us know if you like it, or like I said, Savino, let us know, let us try it. So
yeah,
kind of curious about it. All right, shout outs.
Whoop,
yeah,
whoop.
I was holding up this bottle earlier, and again, like everybody out there in podcast land can see me, and I know you can't, but I have this gorgeous bottle of olive oil. This is from Lucero. I've got to give them a shout out for, I think, the last 3 or 4 years. I don't know, ever since they got on my radar, I have been ordering their very freshly pressed Olio Novello. It's become an annual tradition for me. This was bottled only a month ago, so you can see it's still kind of cloudy. It's unfined, it's unfiltered, and there were 1,500 bottles. This is a 750 ml bottle. It's like a wine bottle. 750 ml bottle, 1,500 made. I got bottle number 349. Cannot wait to dig into this. This has, it's a blend of 3 different olives. I got to put on my glasses because I'm old. This one's made with Lecchino, Taggiasca, and Favoloso olives, bottled on October 15th. And it's not filtered, it's not racked of sediment, it's not fined, and it's supposed to have a cinnamon finish. So I'm really excited. Every year it's a little different.
Have you had a spoonful
I haven't opened
yet?
it yet because it just showed up today, and I like to open it with my honey. So,
well, open it and have a little sip, because the unrefined olive oil has a wonderful burn to it, and that's
what I love about it. And they had the Coratina last year, which had a lovely burn to it. It's really pungent. It's something not a lot of Americans dig. They haven't lived in Europe and really got that fresh olive oil this season, where it's still green and still herbal and pungent and grassy. This is that way.
But it's the perfect thing to use on a salad of fresh tomatoes.
Oh, baby.
Or your best greens. Yeah, and I wouldn't use it just to dip in indiscriminately. Yeah. It's special.
Well, this is a $60 bottle of olive oil.
Yeah, no, we brought some home from Sevilla, and it was amazing. And I saved it and only used it for the most special salads. But it makes a huge difference to the taste.
I love it on a soup. Just drizzle it on a soup or on a bruschetta or something like that. And so, yeah, it's good till probably about February. And when it starts to clear up, then it's probably time to... So yeah, we will probably use this whole 150 ml thing by February. But, yeah, you don't cook with it. Yeah,
No,
don't do that.
no.
It's for finishing. It's not for cooking. So, love a really good unadulterated olive oil. And this Lucero, every year they do some really great things. So, check out Lucero. I'll link it up for you again. And they've got some free shipping. Last week I think it ended the free shipping going on, but even then their shipping is not expensive. So if you want some fun fig balsamics and things like that, Lucero.
And Lucero, is it Italian or Spanish?
They're actually California.
Oh, California.
Yes.
Fantastic.
American olive farmers.
So it's cheaper for shipping than getting it from Spain.
Yes.
Yep.
Unless you go through Giuliani Imports. I know that they do a really good olive oil import, and they've got some amazing olive oils up there. I do like to support American olive oil farmers, at least part of the year, because I do get a lot of my oils from Italy or Spain. But these are fantastic. And the thing about California is they do certify the purity of their oils, where a lot of the stuff that's imported, you can't tell if it's been adulterated sometimes with soybean oil and things. And and the stuff on the grocery store shelves, it's old. If there isn't a harvest date on your bottle, or at least an expiration date, then you don't want to.
Or it could be a mixture of the dregs.
Exactly. So the stuff in the grocery store, I don't get down with. I am down with some really good pure olive oil, and California is very strict on what they send out of the state. So if you can't get the Italian or the Spanish, like you mentioned, go for California olive oil. You cannot beat it. So that is my shout out to Lucero olive oil.
Yum. We came back with a lot of fresh olive oil, the Novello olive oil too, and yeah, I've been giving that out and giving everybody the warning. Do not cook with this. Mm-hmm. This is some nice stuff.
I'll hunt you down.
That's right. That's right. I'm putting cameras in your kitchen. I know what you're doing with that olive oil. But Emily and I both really like a place here in Fort Collins that's called Social, and I was just there on Monday. It's a underground cocktail bar.
It's a speakeasy.
Yeah, it's like a little speakeasy. It's so super cool, and I absolutely love their shishito peppers that they do there. They're just so good, and they're healthy, right? So that's awesome. We had, let's see here, 2 other couples with us, and we went through a few bottles of Gloria Ferrer's Cuvée Brut. And that's a sparkling wine from California. It's very affordable. It would be great to have around at the holidays. Everybody enjoyed it. Social did such a great job. I mean, their service was great. We felt very comfortable, enjoyed the food, enjoyed the ambiance and everything like that. And they have a new menu coming out soon.
Well, I hope that they still have their salmon mousse.
Oh, the salmon pate mousse stuff?
It's like a salmon cloud. It just melts in your mouth. It's the most beautiful thing. You have to have it.
It is so good. Yeah. I did order that too. I sat down and before I gave her my drink order, I was like, I need the shishito peppers and the salmon mousse. And she was like, oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good. So next time you're here, Val.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
And they have fantastic mixologists there too.
Oh yeah. They even have self-mixing drinks going on, because they have little beakers with a cocktail and then the magnet that's mixing the drink for you while they're doing something else.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. It's fun. So we love that.
It's very scientific how they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
cool.
great.
And Val, you and John would love it too, because they're very proud of their absinthe, and they have an absinthe fountain and everything. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, we should go there next time we're up there in the FOCO.
That's right. Well, I think it's time, Val. How about some Patreon love?
Our show would not be possible without you, our listener community. To find out more about how you can support Wine to Five Show, please go to patreon.com, Wine to Five Podcast. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Patreon supporters. We're sending out some Patreon love to our tenacious taster, Jeff E., from the hilarious show We Like Drinking. And if you haven't gotten enough of Steph's smoked whale testicle drink, then go to WeLikeDrinking.com and you can check out their podcast, because they're all about the smoked whale testicles over there. For our It's Not 5 o'clock and We Don't Care listeners, thank you so much, Meg from South Dakota, Clay from Arizona, John in California, and our newest supporter, Andrew in Illinois. And we'll hopefully have a little bit more information about him in our blog. And then you all of you patrons, you will be entered into our exotic wine travel Patreon giveaway. Hashtag Patreon perks. Shireen Tan and Dr. Matthew Horkey were kind enough to send us an extra copy of their book, Uncorking the Caucasus, Wines from Turkey, Armenia, and Georgia, and it's not too late to enter. The contest ends January 1st. For more details, go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/wine25podcast. Thank you guys so much for being a vital part of the Wine to Five listening and sipping community.
And if you love Wine to Five, and we know you do, you'll share our show with your friends and online community, and we certainly appreciate all your involvement and feedback. Please leave us a burning wine question or any kind of comment you want to add about your wine experiences on our SpeakPipe. That is on our website. So easy to use. You only have 90 seconds, but it's on the right-hand side. Give us a little message. It's like a little voicemail for Val and Steph. iTunes love is always appreciated too in a form of a glowing iTunes review. And for your listening pleasure, whether iOS or Android, we also are on iHeartRadio, which is so exciting. And you can come play with us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, or Google+. Also, you can build your collection of wine books, accessories. You can find holiday gifts for people, all on our store. It's the Wine25 store on our Wine25 website. You can connect with Val on Twitter at WineGalUnboxed, and on the Vino with Val Facebook page, and on Instagram as Vino with Val. And you can connect with me on Twitter at Albarello Soap and on the Albarello Soap Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I'm also on Instagram as the Wine Heroine. Emily, where can people find you?
Well, you can look for my thoughts on my blog, Feeding the Famished. And I write about everything that is kind of interesting to humans except what I ate for lunch, unless it's important. I also have recipes that pairs wine or other sorts of libations with. You can find me on Facebook at Emily Kemi Writer and on Twitter at mfeedsyou. And I'm also on Instagram at mfeedsyou.
Nice.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
One more thing, don't forget to use the hashtag W25Challenge when you are trying new wines, new drinks, new cocktails, new whiskeys, whatever it is. You can win an opportunity to co-host the show with us. So whatever you're drinking, wherever you are, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Wine to Five podcast. Be sure to check us out at Facebook/WineTWO5 and tune in next week for more fun and useful sip tips.